What's going on, everyone? Hola, welcome to my Mayhem Streamcast. I'm here for another week. I'm so excited. I hope everyone's had a great weekend, got to refreshen, and are doing great. I'm your host, DJ, visual descriptor. I'm a female Latina brunette with silver streaks. And I'm wearing red lipstick today with like an orange shirt, and I'm sitting in my positive affirmations background. I have brown eyes, and that's it. So welcome. How's everybody doing? Please, thank you for being here. I really appreciate always when individuals are hanging out with us for the conversation. If you haven't, please subscribe to my YouTube. I'm on Twitch. We're on Facebook and LinkedIn. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. I've got a couple more streaming platforms I've added to. So thank you to Restream. We've got the Ukraine flag we're representing. They've added some new backgrounds and overlays. So I'm really excited about that. So you can see the blue. And I'm just glad everybody's here. You know, we're here together. So it's exciting. All right, let me see. Check in. Every week we're here, powerful stories and experiences. I like to destigmatize and normalize mental health, disability, and trauma, and always have a fabulous guest who shares their story. A place we've created to share our mayhem, opportunities, connections, and really encourage acceptance, and let's take action. We're going to start taking action on these conversations. So again, welcome. I always give a little trigger warning. I like to give a little discretion just in case, as we can discuss things that may be triggering and difficult for some mature. And these are our opinions and our experiences. So that's it. All right, let me see. I'm going to go ahead. I just wanted to shout out because I am part of the Podfest family. Let's see. Thank you for everyone that's here. Hope Jonathan, what's going on? Salty, what's going on? It's been so long. Thank you for popping by and saying hi. Good old friend Darren, I'm so glad you're here. We've got a great guest, don't we, Darren? We have an amazing guest, and I know you know her, and she's amazing. So what's going on your Saturday night? So very exciting. I know. Martita, ¿cómo está? Welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. My buddy Chris, he's in the house. What's up? That's my remote producer friend. I'm so excited. We are buddies. And Margot, oh my God, I'm so excited. Margot's here. Oh, the amazing Margot. Cargo Margot. If you know, she has a show. So if you don't check her out, y'all need to go over and check her out. So super exciting. Jonathan has a show too. So check over down to his Facebook. Talks about kidney health. And so what's going on? It's so exciting. I'm so glad. Wow. I went to the chat first. Normally I like to bring out the guest, but I'm trying to maybe change things up. But we're going to get to our guest. I want to give her wonderful introduction like I always like to introduce my guests. Today we have the fabulous Jen Russman. She practices healing energy. She has multiple sclerosis. We're here to talk about awareness, as this is the month for that as well. It's a disease that impacts the brain and spinal cord that makes up the central nervous system when the immune system attacks it. Now, for her, she's an emotional release practitioner and self-healing expert, specializing in energetics of the mind body. And after nearly being sick for 7 years, disabled and homebound with MS, she has made a decision that has changed her world to heal and reclaim her health and her life naturally. She is an entrepreneur. She is passionate about sharing her story and really changing their narrative about how we view and address trauma. I love to talk about trauma. She's going to share about her mental health, her illness, and really we're going to celebrate healing and living beyond those labels and really being a champion of turning the pain into power by giving it purpose. Oh my God, Jen. What's that? You love that. What's
Girlfriend,
up?
you're speaking my language.
Thank you. Let me switch this up.
You speak my language so well.
I'm so glad to have you, and I'm so glad for you to join us and share your story. And it was really important that you came on for this specific episode. So
I'm
shine
so
some
happy
light.
that you thought of me. I'm happy to be here. I mean, anytime I can come out and shed light and bring hope and healing to other
Yes.
people that may be stuck in the suffering, that's why I'm here doing what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So
Yeah.
start off with a little bit of your story because, I kind of gave my own introduction of you, but
Mhm.
please give your own introduction and,
Yeah.
your
Absolutely.
backstory.
Absolutely. So, we'll go back to who wants to go back to the 90s? You guys want to go back to the 90s?
Yeah. All right. I'm
Throw out
down with
some
the
of your favorite
90s.
90s jams if you got some while we're talking.
Oh, gosh. All right.
1998, if you got any songs from 1998, because that's
All
the
right.
year I'm going to take us back to.
All right, folks. You got some homework for this episode. We're going to talk about 90s music and incorporate it, I guess, into this.
That's right.
Fun.
That's
All
right.
right, great. 90s. Wow,
Yeah.
good one.
So, it was 1998. I was 29 years old. I was 4 years into my recovery and sobriety journey, just getting my feet replanted on the ground when, the rug was literally pulled out from under me, seemingly overnight. I woke up one day, August 1st, 1998, with symptoms of what ultimately became the diagnosis of MS. And it just seemed random out of left field that my body just fell apart and went haywire. And it rocked my world and everything changed overnight. And I always like to talk about this because this is so weird, DJ, because back in 1998, now that's not that long ago, right? We're only talking, I don't even know now.
Doesn't
I'm
feel like
thinking
that long ago.
no. 18. So what are we talking? 24 years, right?
Yeah.
So the internet,
So young.
I know, but the internet wasn't what it is today. And so when I got slammed and hit with this illness, I couldn't find one story of hope. I just wanted one person who could say, you can live well with this, Jen. I got you. And it didn't exist in the libraries. It didn't exist in the bookstores. I couldn't just click the button and go online and find private groups on Facebook and go find this and do all these Google searches because it wasn't there, right? So I was very much alone. I felt very alone. And it's what I hear a lot from people when we get hit and diagnosed with something like this. It's very isolating and very lonely. And so what ended up happening for me as a result was I went downhill, and I went downhill fast. And I proceeded to live 7 years sick, disabled, and homebound, like on the couch or in bed 75-80% of the time. So it was like existing in a body that was failing. And it wasn't until fast forward that, I don't even know how to explain it. I always say it was a divine intervention. I literally woke up one day and something dropped and landed in me, and I heard a voice. I'm intuitive. I hear messages, guidance, and this voice just said, I'm done. I looked around at my mess and I said, this isn't it. I'm not doing this anymore. And I heard the voice say, I'm not going to live sick anymore. I'm going to get well. Now, this is the part I love to talk about because if you can imagine, I'm 36 years old. My son is 2, really struggling to take care of him.
And you're like immobile. You're somewhat like your mobility is still somewhat compromised.
Yeah, I mean, I was never fully paralyzed.
Right,
See,
right.
people
But you were in the bed a lot.
yeah, but people have this idea, okay? And
Completely.
this is part of like you want to break the stigmatism. People
Yeah.
equate MS to wheelchair.
Right.
MS does not mean wheelchair.
Mhm.
There is, I mean, I know you're familiar with it, but there's invisible disabilities.
Mhm.
I had very visible seasons with this disease where I couldn't walk, I couldn't see, I lost my vision, I lost my ability to walk, I lost my ability to go to the bathroom by myself and take a shower. Like I needed help for everything. I went seasons like that. But oftentimes you would look at me and I looked normal. I looked fine on the outside. And then people would say to me, wow, you look really good. You're doing well. Like, cause I know somebody and they're in a wheelchair. And so that's something I like to talk about, because just because I'm not in a wheelchair doesn't mean I'm doing great.
Right.
Right. So, I like to shine light on the invisible disability aspect of living with a chronic illness, because oftentimes that's what it's like living with chronic illness is people don't see what you're feeling. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
So,
you're sharing that, because it is. It's part of those stigmas we have to
yeah.
break. And you
Yeah.
don't know what someone's going through. You don't know what they've been through. They don't know. And there's flare-ups, right? It comes and
Yes.
goes.
Comes and goes.
Right.
Intergalactic Beastie Boys.
I know. I was thinking that till we got
Marco.
back to the music thing, but I think that background, because
I
I guess,
love it.
but let's just get right into that. Let's get back to the music then,
It's
because you asked
hilarious.
about the music. I know, Margaret Parker, you are so
I'm so
funny.
glad. That's the
She
Beastie
said,
Boys rock.
yeah, she loves the space vibes, and I love the 90s. So there we go.
There
I
you
love
go.
the 90s too. The 90s, I'm all down with the 90s. I got this
Yeah.
tattoo on my chest to the Beastie Boys, by the way. So
I
definitely
love
have
it.
my own connection to the Beastie Boys, where I
I
was getting
know.
a tattoo to it.
I was just listening to them the other day, actually. So good
All right.
choice,
And
Margo.
Mackenzie said Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz. Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
Yeah. That's a
I
good
love it,
one.
you guys. Thank you for playing along with the 90s music theme. That just like makes my night. I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Keep
it.
sharing. Keep sharing the songs too.
Yeah, keep it up.
Keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Oh, Aerosmith. I love me some Aerosmith.
Oh, I know. Steven Tyler. Need we
Okay,
say
this
more?
is gonna turn into a totally different show all real quick.
That's okay. Because you know what?
Yeah.
Music is healing. And
Yes.
I'm all about healing. Like, I don't like to put my energy and focus and time into, raising awareness about disease as much as I'm here to raise awareness about every one of us holds the innate power to heal. And so that moment when I woke up and had that divine intervention and everything changed again for me overnight for the better, I was saying, like, I had no clue how I was going to do it. So the first step is to decide, you know what, I'm done with this mess, and to start taking radical responsibility for the mess you're sitting in.
Ooh,
And that was
that's
my
hard.
It's very hard.
That's real hard, because and we were just briefly touching right before the
Yeah.
show started, but that is something that's very common, right, in any chronic illness. And then you have to really like accept it. You have to really muster the energy, get the hope, and to continue to pursue, and then to overcome whatever it is that you're battling. That's really like and in that sense, that's a very personal, own individual experience that you have to, overcome.
And that's why, having a mentor or a coach or a guide really comes into play, because that person can help you unlayer, shed the conditioning and unlayer. Because one of my first steps was I had to overhaul my complete belief system. Everything that I thought I knew and believed and had been taught and told about disease, about MS, about my body, about healing, about being sick.
Society, resources, doctors, medical treatments.
Right. Yeah. And so when I made that power of decision to do things differently, because I had done it my medical team's way for 7 years and I was going downhill fast. I didn't have the external support. Everybody, when I said I'm going on, I called out my doctor and I said, I'm done with all the injections. I'm done with this medication. I'm done with the drips. I'm done with the home care nurses. I'm done. Oh my God. And then my family, and I know it was all coming from a place of fear. They were afraid for me. And I kept hearing, you're just going to get sicker. You can't go off your meds. You're going to get sicker. But I had an inner knowing. And this is something I'm so passionate about. And it's a huge part of the coaching and healing work that I do with people, is learning to listen to, understand, and trust your inner knowing, because when it's there for a reason. And so I didn't choose the external messages over my inner knowing. I had to go with my inner knowing. And thank God I did, because it was there guiding me. So I didn't know the how. You don't have to know the how. You just have to make the decision. This is like step by step. Just decide, you know what? I'm not going to live. I don't want to live sick anymore. I'm done.
And you don't want to let it control you, right? Every moment, every decision. And You
No.
don't want to let it. You said something that now I've heard really honestly twice, maybe 3 times, about having a coach when you're having some like sort of medical. And so when I was a guest over with Philip and they were talking about being kidney coaches, and I had just recently heard about, being a coach and for chronic illnesses, different kinds of illnesses, different types of and I thought that was great. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is something new and well, to me, it's new. I'm not saying that overall coaching, but do you know, like, can you tell us a little more about that kind of coaching for people that may like, it doesn't have to always be like the medical doctor or the support group.
No. And if, being willing to think outside of the box, being open to holistic and alternative options. And it's not to say to completely replace the traditional of what you're doing. It could be a combination. For me, I went all holistic, and that's what worked for me. Is that going to work for everybody? No, because there's bio individuality, and healing is so personal and so intimate. And each one of us gets to decide what healing looks like and feels like for us. And so for me, working with people, it's all about empowering you, and it's helping you go inside and trust your own inner knowing, and walking with you as you and helping you unlayer and shed all the conditioning so that you can begin to take that personal responsibility, so that you can begin to change those beliefs, because our beliefs drive our thoughts. Our thoughts become things, they become our reality, and our thoughts create our emotions. How our thoughts determine how we feel. So when I was sick all those years, so the language, you guys, what you're telling yourself is so at the heart of all of this. For me, all of those years, I'm so sick, so tired. I don't feel good. This sucks. Just going to get worse. I'm so sick. I'm so tired. I don't feel good, right? So I was trapped in my own energetic cycle, if you will, of beliefs and thoughts, which were creating my emotions, which were ultimately creating my experience.
That's so powerful. You have to gain that. You have to understand that to break through, I think, at
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah.
That's what's going to really change it for you.
Yeah.
I want to say that I guess I could understand because I kind of did that, right? As a disability navigator, sitting in that chair with someone, having them come in week after week or every 2 weeks, however often they needed, right? As they needed, to really give them that hope, to give them that encourage them, to give them the next couple steps, to give them like that kind of extra, reassurance. Like a small step is an amazing step. It's to be celebrated, right? And all those things that I frequently say on the show that I hear so many others as they come on as guests also feel like that. It's not about one thing. It's really, you have to be more whole. You have to think on a greater scale, and you can't just, you have to look inward. A lot of that is inwardness and taking ownership of the situation and your thoughts and how you're expressing it, right? What you're putting out there. And of course
Or
we
not
take
expressing it, or not expressing it.
or not.
That's a flip side of the coin too, is when you're holding everything in and suppressing it, the damage that that does on your system, in your body. It's very disruptive and very, very, oftentimes our emotions, when they become lodged and trapped in our bodies, and this is the work I do as an emotional release practitioner, they are very disruptive. And they oftentimes are responsible for a lot of the pain that we're feeling or discomfort, and oftentimes hindering our body's ability to heal
Like
because
inflammating. We're inflammating our
inflammation.
body
Yes.
areas.
Yeah. Inflaming. Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, I had a thought, I forgot it. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's okay. But I use that term loosely when I say inflame,
Yeah.
like not in a medical, but we're holding it in. It's
Yes.
somewhere, the gut or the back
Mhm.
or our legs or our knees or
Yeah.
our shoulder
Right.
or neck.
Right.
our head hurts.
Because if we're
Right,
not
somatic, the
expressing,
somatic, right?
right,
Can't
if we're,
sleep,
yes, yes.
appetite.
Yeah, if we're not expressing our emotions, like I always like to pose the question, and I'll pose it to everybody, all the viewers. Like, if you're not expressing or processing your emotions, where do they go? Where do they go? And this is my jam. I love to talk about this because everything is energy. And every single thought we think is energy, holds its own frequency. Every emotion that you experience is energy. So when you look at the word emotion, break it out. E dash motion. What is it? It's energy in motion. So all energy, hope you stay with me, all energy is motion. It's not in motion. It is motion. Energy never stops. It's always in motion, right? So when you're experiencing an emotion and you're suppressing it, you're stuffing it, you're essentially stopping its natural flow. Like it can't complete its cycle of motion through and out of your body. So where does it go? It gets stuck, lodged, and trapped in all areas of your body. And they build up and build up and build up. And everything, any type of dis-ease, especially when you look at chronic and autoimmune, even cancer, it all starts in the energy body first. It because we are an energy body first that happens to have this physical body. So the energy body, and I don't, if you're not familiar with it, even look up Kirlian photography. We have pictures now of the bioenergetic field, which some people call the aura, right? We can see it. Science is catching up now. And so everything starts in the energy body. And if it's not addressed, it then manifests in the physical body. So when I got into the energy work and I discovered this, it was like, and it made sense to me because when I look back now, all these years later, I'm like, did I just wake up one day and randomly my body fall apart and go haywire and get sick? No, that's not what happened. When I look back on my history of childhood trauma starting at age 3, taking me up into probably 10 or 11, trauma gets stored in the body 3 ways. It's stored cellularly, cellular memory, that's generational trauma. It gets stored through emotional suppression, these trapped emotions, and it gets stored with energetic attachments. And so then I look at, okay, then I found alcohol and got into addiction. So the years of addiction and self-harm, that was even more emotional suppression and stuffing. So by the time I'm like 4 years sober and 29 years old, and I'm thawing out, I always call my early years of sobriety, I was thawing out,
Nice.
it wasn't random. On August 1st, 1998, I woke up and my body was crying out for help.
Can
It
take
said,
no
Jen,
more.
we need help. Something is wrong. And
Couldn't like
unfortunately,
neglect it anymore. You couldn't ignore it
right,
anymore. You couldn't
right,
just be like, I can't
right,
deal with that right now.
right, right. Because
This
I
is
was a runner and I was a stuffer and I compartmentalized and I put everything and stuffed and suppressed
a
and
lot of us do that. I do that. It's
most
so
of us
easy
do.
to do. Most of us do that.
Yeah,
So, right.
good
A lot
company.
of nods out there. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
nods.
you're in good company.
No
Yes, our
denying
thoughts are
here.
our reality, Mackenzie. You're right. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I saw that. Oh, wait. Yeah. There it is. So,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
it's so nice to have this conversation and just hear it over and over in so many stories and how really
Mhm.
it does. It's very similar how those traumas and everything we hold in and how it manifests in our bodies differently
Mhm. Yep.
and not even to mention external, right?
Right.
Environmental factors, but just the own damage that we can do to ourselves.
Right. Right. Yeah, and the traumas and the imprints and the conditioning that are put on us and that change us, right? And that's weight. That's emotional weight and energetic weight bearing down on us. And the body can only carry it for so long before it breaks apart and says, I need help. And
Hmm.
it's our body communicating to us that something's wrong.
Gotta listen to your body.
Absolutely. It's
Now,
so
I want to go
important.
back to the coaching. The coaching can
Yeah.
help, right? To
Yeah.
get through these not phases, but different waves, because it comes in waves and it goes, and nothing is linear and nothing is.
Mhm.
So as you feel it and as it comes. So coaches that can really provide what else do they provide as
Well,
you're going through this? And you can make it more for multiple sclerosis, because I
yes.
really want,
Yeah.
to this be a part of that story when it comes to those symptoms, right? Those
Yeah.
symptoms that are so physical. And I don't have it pulled up, but I was looking at some of those symptoms. And
Mhm.
you can talk about yours, and I'll just try to briefly look it up here.
Oh, with the
Um,
MS?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, there's so
yeah.
many. I've had everything except I think 2 of them.
Mhm.
But my main, disabling symptoms were vertigo was my nemesis. Like, it was
Oh,
brutal. I mean, brutal. I'll spare you the details. Um, and, weakness and fatigue, and like I said, I've lost my vision a couple times. I lost my ability to walk. My balance is
and
horrible.
everybody's different. So a
Everybody's
coach
different.
can kind of help validate
Right.
through these feelings. Oh, so Anthony's
Absolutely.
here. Anthony was talking about being a coach, the kidney coach.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by
Yeah.
these services,
Yeah.
really, to help specific individuals in these
Yeah.
specific conditions. And so I love it how.
Yeah, so I definitely will speak to that. So for me, the way that I experience it and feel it and see it is, and I'll equate it, I'll go back to my recovery in addiction, is
Mhm.
nobody can help me like another sober alcoholic or addict. Somebody who has walked in my shoes and gets me from the inside out. No doctor, nobody with any credentials before and after
Agenda,
removed. Right, or
financial
agenda.
reward.
Right. Nobody like that. Only somebody who has walked in my shoes inside out. So that's one huge, probably the main benefit of who you decide to link arms with to help walk you along your journey, especially if you want to change the path that you're on, is somebody who's already done it. They're a few steps ahead of you or they're years ahead of you. Doesn't matter. Like, if they're ahead of you and they have what you want, that's that's the magic right there. Um, Somebody who understands that there is no one size fits all when it comes to healing and recreating ourselves out of any circumstances or situation, right?
Right. Mhm.
Again, and this is very personal for me, is what I bring to the table is I help you figure out how you want your journey and your healing to look and feel, right? So that's number one important to me is, so back in 1998, I couldn't find that person. He or she didn't exist. I was desperate and it pained me. And so now that the internet is what it is, you can find whatever you have. I don't even the rarest diagnoses, there's somebody out there who's a few steps ahead, who has tried something different and has had success, who can say, "Hey, I got you." That's really what, to answer your question. So, and somebody with MS specific can help somebody in the autoimmune
Yeah.
category. I have a whole different view and take on autoimmune. Um,
And
but
that's good to know too, right? Like, that's good, because not
yeah,
everybody might see it the same way. So you have to
right,
find someone that fits, that sees, that
right,
understands.
right. I don't believe in the concept of our immune system just attacks the body. That's not what the when you really stop, like, this is this is such a huge piece in the work I do is, because I didn't do this. Mistake number one, I didn't question. Question everything. Everything you're being told, question it. And there's no excuse because you have the push of a button with the internet to connect with other people and groups, and all these resources are so available now. There's no excuse to not question. Question everything, but question it with curiosity without judgment. including your own
Yes.
beliefs.
Curiosity. Absolutely. With
Absolutely.
curiosity and
Yeah.
not judgment.
Right. Get curious without
I
the
think,
judgment.
and I talk about language in our communication
Mm-hmm.
frequently about our language really can, so we have to be careful with what we say and how we say
Yeah.
things. We need to, practice kindness in our
Mhm.
language, because our words can really definitely, stigmatize and create that judgment, that feeling of judgment.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry to see that, Rosemary. Yeah,
oh,
1959, they didn't yeah. That sucks.
35.
I know. That's baby. Yeah.
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 Ah,
I mean, they've
Rosemary.
come far in treatments, but again, I see dis-ease and illness and autoimmune. I just have a whole different take based on my own experiences. I've lived really poorly with it, and I've lived really well with it. And
Ooh,
the
okay.
reason and the reasons I live well with it, that's the perspective that I come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's important because, again, you don't want to get stuck in a specific funnel of thought, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you do want to question, and you do want to explore, and you
Mhm.
do, and this is why, this work is important, because there's so
Mhm.
many different perspectives and experiences, and
Right.
there's support for you that can really help you in the way that you need it, without being like pushed
Right.
and forced pharmaceuticals and forced into specific theories of treatments, or
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
And it works if you're somebody who's willing to be open, because oftentimes, and this speaks to conditioning that we all live out, the story that we're living out, right?
Yeah.
That story, that narrative that we're living out, we become so protective of it because we identify ourselves as it. And so the language I use, the things I talk about, oftentimes can often feel threatening to people who aren't quite there yet because they don't understand.
Yeah.
So the people that make the changes and experience the healing are the people that choose to be open and say, you know what, I'm going to let the grip off a little bit of. I'm not going to protect this identity in this story because maybe it's not true. Right? Like, what if everything that you've been taught and told about your condition, your diagnoses, the label you've been given, what if it's not true? What if it's not true? What would that mean for you, and what would that mean for your life?
You asked some great questions tonight. So you've asked, how do we release our emotions, and
Where do they go? Right?
where do they go? And now you're asking us, repeat, please.
I'm asking if God, what did I just ask?
It's great. No, that's okay. We're going to clip that, and we're going to come right back to that. All right, let me take a break.
That's
Jen's
fantastic.
going to gather her thoughts. We're going to get to this comment from Judith, because Judith, we want to support you today, right now.
Oh, Judith. Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. All right. Now I'm just going to
Wow.
do an overlay real quick here. And this is just my little plug for, here we go, for PodFest, VidFest. So,
Oh, there you go.
my plug. Woo, woo. Yes. I really always want to encourage anyone that wants to come out to PodFest, VidFest. You can use my promo, 20% off of your ticket. It's May 26th through the 29th in Orlando, Florida, and I will be speaking. So come to my session. And I do have a little extra that so they're giving away, they're sharing with us as speakers for our listeners, that we could give out a ticket away to one of our listeners. So I'm very excited about that. So excited about that. Oh my gosh, now my thing froze. All right. Well, Jen, you're gonna come back up. And I know it just wanted to freeze. So here we go. Jen's gonna keep it going, or not. This gotta love the stream crap. Gotta love it. Hold on a second. Technical issues.
No problem. No problem. I did remember the question I asked. The question I had asked was, what if everything you've been taught and told about your condition, your situation, your diagnoses, label, what if everything you've been taught and told about that isn't true? Like, what if it's not true? And what would that mean for you in your life moving forward? Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Go. I got it. I think I got it. I don't.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm so
I
sorry.
know. We got to get us back on the screen, girl.
I know. Hold on, folks. Keep
I
looking at the
know.
Podfest. Go over to Eventbrite. Check out the tickets for the next 10 seconds.
I know. That's funny. Oh, there we are.
Okay. Like this. Okay, so that was it. That was my plug-in. Let's get to the chat. And I lost the comment. I am so sorry.
Was it Rosemary?
No, it's Judith.
Judith, right.
Judith.
Yeah, Judith said her husband was diagnosed with MS 3 days ago.
So let's go start right there because we want to provide support to her.
Yeah.
And send her our hugs and our sentiments. Yeah. And we don't want you to feel alone.
Yeah.
So where can they start? Any?
Oh. Well, you're here, Judith.
You are here.
There's no
coincidences
that you've landed right here in this moment in this conversation. So the first thing I will say is to know that, and I will say you and your husband because you're a team. Your husband as well as you has the innate power to heal. His body, every one of our bodies are designed to live in homeostasis. And our bodies innately know how to return to homeostasis. If we give our bodies what our bodies need, our bodies will give us what we want. So being open and understanding that the whole concept of power to heal, right? And I spoke briefly before about getting curious and questioning everything. And it includes questioning your belief system and everything that you're being told or have been told or taught in the past about your body, illness, disease, that it's normal. Like we're in this matrix that it's normal to be taking 10 pills a day and having 5 different prescriptions. Like that's not normal. It's not normal.
See, and I don't know. That's something like how many medications does someone, with this type of
not normal.
Right. So
it's not normal. We're conditioned because the disease industry is just that. It's a money-making industry. But I don't want to go there because it's like
yeah, that's a different episode. So it's always another episode.
So, he's newly diagnosed, you're 3 days in, it's a shock. And I know for me, my first 2 questions I had was, am I going to die? And can I still have children? Because I was 29. I was a woman at 29, right? And so hope is the word that I will use with you, Judith, is hope. There is so much hope. Your husband can recover and live well. Your husband can heal. And you guys can do it together as a team. And as the caregiver, it's equally as important that you are taking care of your own needs. It's so important as a caretaker because the caretaker oftentimes gets lost in the shuffle because we have the identified patient and then the caretaker.
And they have to be the strong one.
Right.
Or the patient has to be the strong one. They have to put up a wall. So there's just so many things going on.
Yeah. And you know what, Judith? Have a sense of humor. Make sure that you're laughing. Just laugh at the insanity of the journey that you guys are on. Because laughter is such a healing tool. It is such a powerful way to transmute your energy, to move energy through and out of the body, because that is such an important part for healing, is to be moving the energy, to keep that the energy of our emotions and our thoughts and what we're experiencing, just allowing it to flow and moving through and out of us. And what a better way to do that and to change our mood and to raise our vibration, but through laughter. And laughter was huge for me, even in those dark years on the couch and in bed. Laughter.
She says,
it was the one thing I had.
Oh, and she also says we have 2 kids.
How old are your kids, Judith? Yeah. How old are your kids?
Yay.
Kenny
Well,
D. Scrumptiously delicious. Doesn't take any medication. That's amazing, Kenny D.
he handles his health in
Yeah.
a very nice, holistic way. So
Yeah.
that's
Amazing.
great. Is
But yeah,
there
have hope,
mhm.
be open, and reach out to me if you guys want to have a conversation, and
Yes.
I'm happy to share my experience, strength, and hope. 7 and 3. Oh my God, how cute.
Oh, I
Like
got
a
a almost
they're littles.
7-year-old. So yeah, it's such a fun
Littles.
age.
Yeah.
Littles.
Yeah.
Yeah, little ones. So yeah. All right. Well, Jen, I love that. That kind of insight that you're giving Judith and as they begin this journey. And
Yeah.
I don't, again, I always say I don't talk too much about statistics, but I can only imagine how many other individuals, go through this
Mm-hmm.
and don't have a place to turn and don't have,
Right.
resources or support. And how
Right.
do they start getting more information and who,
Right.
I think, like you said, we're conditioned to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of take the information we're given. Here's the pamphlet and make sure you
Yeah.
read it. And, then make
Yeah.
sure you
And
take the pill right after. Right. And
yeah, I don't know what Judith, you guys were told, but this is what I was told in a nutshell. I mean, literally, this is what I was told. MS. We don't know what causes it. It's a progressive disease. There is no cure. And you will continue to get more disabled and more sick and get worse as you get older in age. That's what I was told. And so that's the energy. Once it's put in, like it takes a life of its own, right? Those words and that story.
yeah.
And
The
that
way
was
you
my
receive
experience.
that information, it impacts so many. There's always a
Yeah.
story about how someone receives that initial
Yes.
information, that
Yes.
message, how it's delivered.
Mhm.
It's so
Yeah.
important. And then you never forget that moment when you receive
Yeah.
the call or when the doctor
Mhm.
tells you or where that room you're in and who
Yeah.
you're with.
Yeah.
Um, you know.
Yeah. And there are so many moving parts and pieces, but you know, there's one theory that, the Epstein-Barr virus causes it. I tend to agree with that. It's a factor. An acidic body versus an alkaline body is a factor. Lifestyle choices are a factor which cause whether you're acidic or alkaline. Um, and then there's the emotional wounding and the trapped emotions in our bodies. And then there's the energy and the energetic attachments. And so it's like taking a holistic approach, to me, does not always mean get rid of all the medical and let's just go all natural. Like, that's not holistic. Means looking at the big picture and finding the moving parts and pieces that are going to work for you
Ooh, I love that.
specifically. So it's a
Holistic.
little this, little that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the biggest oversights in treatment plans and approaches to chronic illness and disease manifesting in our bodies is not addressing energy at the energy level. When we're like, I will tell you this. So I didn't know about the energy back in the day, or even in my earlier years of healing. My healing was all like mindset based, healing emotions, changing my diet. I bought a juicer and it saved my life. $120 juice, an infomercial saved my life. Right?
I love juicers.
Oh my God, they're the best. And a Jack LaLanne juicer on TV, $120. It came to
This
my
is the
house.
90s, right? The
No,
90s.
well, this was 2000s now because I was 7
2000s
years
now. We moved
after.
to,
Right. I
okay,
was
yeah. We
7
moved
years
to the
into the mess.
2000s.
Yeah.
Drop your favorite jam from now the 2000s.
Yes, early 2000s. Yeah. So, but yeah, an infomercial literally saved my life, because as soon as I started juicing, my body woke up and was like, thank you. And it started to come back. And I made 3 or 4 juices a day with vegetables and fruits, which, if you're open, Judith, I can share my recipe I used, if your husband's open to doing that. So that was a huge piece for me. And these are the taking personal responsibility, right? And finding all these different ways that I need to make these changes through
Can
taking
I ask
personal
you
responsibility.
about a word, cope?
Ugh, what about that
Coping.
word?
Well, I
Coping?
don't know how you feel. People have mixed feelings. So
Yeah.
how do you use that word, or how would you implement that word? Like the
Well,
strategies you put into your life to have a better quality of life, to really be.
here's another question for you.
Ooh,
So,
I love it,
I know.
Jen.
So, what is more appealing to you? I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Like, what would be more appealing to you? What feels better for you? Let's like drop into your body. What feels better? The idea of settling and coping the rest of your life, or the idea of getting curious and taking responsibility and being a powerful creator and changing your circumstances from the inside out and healing. And the word cope, this is what I always say, we are living in a coping model. Our society is living in a coping model. We are taught and told, like trauma, we're taught and told that we are stuck with trauma. We're stuck with it. We got to learn how to cope with it the rest of our lives. That to me is settling. That to me is giving up and settling and chiseling away through the trigger trauma loop. And that's not healing. I'm here to guide people and lead people out of the coping model into the healing model, which is all about infinite possibilities and infinite healing. It's all available to you. Absolutely, Judith. We will connect.
Yes, I love it. See, I knew you would have such good, in-depth
I never know how it's going to be
answer.
received.
Well,
But, it doesn't matter because like this is what I'm here, disruptor. I'm here to speak my soul's recognition of the truth through my own lived experiences. That's all I can speak to is through my lived experiences. And I went from heading towards nursing home status to doing Zumba, running a 5K, living an active life. Yes, I'm differently abled, but I have learned how to navigate because there's residual damage that was done in my body as a result of living poorly those 7 years. Now I'm reaching a point where I'm in an expansion of who I'm like looking at my belief system and the narrative around this. I've been saying this a long time. I have residual damage. Can my body heal that residual damage? I'll bet it could. So I'm heading into that next layer for myself, which will only enable me to help other people even more when I navigate that and I start to experience. And I've already started to experience some of it.
Well, there's always room for growth and learning.
Absolutely.
So I love it.
Yeah.
Valerie, thanks for being here. And she's living in a coping model. So that may be something new. A new
I think it's food for thought, her comment. Yeah, food for thought.
Yeah. So it's something that I've heard it be a word that's not always a positive word. Right, like kind of the way you started to present that idea of, do you want to live and we're just coping?
Well, do you want to live limited or do you want to live limitless?
Limited. Ooh!
I don't know
this is why you're here tonight.
I want to live limitless because, we are all powerful creators. We are infinite beings. And I love my Jeff Walliner. I love you, brother. He always says we are infinity trying to fit in these meat suits.
Oh, I love that. No, but I really love that energy and really understanding that we are energetic beings and we are just, we have this physical form here that we're given, and this superficial circumstances and situations that, the 3D world, what we call the 3D, our 3D world, that is kind of like what, as far as we can see and smell and feel, then that's, but there's so much more beyond, right?
Right.
So,
and most people I know who are living with or suffering with a chronic illness like MS or lupus or fibromyalgia or any of those, whatever it might be, they have trauma in their history. They may have addiction, right? So they're very much linked. And that's where the energetics comes into play for me in the work that I do with people, is showing you how they're linked, why they're linked, and why doing emotional release and energy releasing is so important to integrate and bring that healing home.
Real.
Yeah.
So important. I hear this over and over every week, really, and you have to again, look internally and
Mhm.
own it and really find a way to find your strength and your
Mhm.
power.
Yeah, and when people hear take radical responsibility or personal responsibility, the wall goes up, right? They instantly like, ooh, like, even when I said it, you were like, "Oh, that's really hard." And it is.
Mhm.
I think there's a misconception because
Well,
when
a lot of people struggle with it, first of
they
all. It
do,
takes
but it doesn't mean taking personal
right.
responsibility or radical responsibility, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't mean it's not about blaming ourselves. It's not about shaming ourselves.
Mm-mm.
It's about empowering ourselves. It was about me saying, "You know what? I don't want this anymore. And whatever I gotta do to make
Or I
this
don't want to live like
different."
this anymore.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Then
Right.
whatever I need to do to make that happen, I'm gonna do it.
Because you can still live. Because you can
Right.
still
Right.
make it through the day.
Right.
And so use
Right.
your strengths and use your abilities and use what you do have to really
Yeah.
make it the best quality
Yeah.
and really savor every moment.
Mhm.
Savor the flavor in every moment.
Savor the flavor, D. That's right. Kenny D. Not D-Roo,
Oh,
Kenny D. Savor the flavor.
yes. Aw. Rosemary. Jen is an inspiration. I think you're talking about
Oh, thank
Jen.
you.
So
Thank
I
you.
I mean listening to you, Jen, and really the way you get people to think and like
Yeah.
own and kind of I love that giving someone else the insight, right? We can't tell
Mhm.
people this is the way it should be and this is the way you should do this and you should try this and
Right.
but once people say that does make sense, that works for me,
Mhm.
I can see how that is how
Mhm.
that's true for me and they can
Right.
see the truth in it for
Mhm.
themselves.
Yeah,
Then really
and that's what I do. I lead people home to their innate ability to heal because the answers they're not up here. The answers don't reside here. The answers are from the neck down. The answers are in your body. And so we need to learn how to leave here and drop into our bodies because our bodies are talking to us all the time. And when we can learn how to listen to them and identify where the energy is, what it feels like, and I teach people how to move that energy, how to identify it, locate it, describe it, and then I teach them ways to move it out of their body. It's incredible. It's incredible what
releasing
happens.
it.
And I would love to share a brief story on this, like personal that happened
Please.
for me. Because I don't preach or teach anything that I don't do or haven't done. And so I had an energy guide. And so I lived, it'll be 24 years since my diagnosis. So 22 years into this journey with MS, I lived 22 years with spasms and tremors in my legs that were painful and really uncomfortable. Anybody who's had restless leg syndrome, it's kind of like that, but on steroids.
Oh,
And
I've had to
right.
stop medication because the restless leg was so bad.
Okay, so
I was like,
right.
it's
Yeah,
one of the first symptoms I usually get. I don't know
yeah,
why, but that's usually one of the first, or I feel like a lack of circulation in my legs, like a
yeah.
tingly where I feel like there's no circulation in my
Mhm.
legs. It's very
But
odd.
like I just feel like I have to
With the
keep
restless leg.
moving and keep moving to make it stop the sensations and then the spasms are painful. And so 22 years at night, as soon as I lay down, I'm ready to relax. But once I start relaxing, my nervous system goes haywire. My legs just would freak out, right? So I went through this for 22 years. I lived with this, you guys.
Oh my
So
goodness.
let's fast forward to just about 2 years ago. I was working with an energy guide, and we were in the container, over the phone, and we were in Voxer actually. And she was guiding me and leading me and asking me questions. And she said, "Now I want you to ask yourself, is are these spasms and tremors like is this MS? Is it yours? Is it something else?" And I was like, "Okay." And I was tuning in and I'm like, I recognize it wasn't mine. It's not it's not MS. It's not the label of what they stamped me with. It was it was energy. It was residual energy from my childhood trauma, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that session took me back to 2.5 years old. and 4 years old. And what ended up happening was through the work she did with me, she helped me move that energy up and out of my body. And I kid you not, I'm almost 2 years later, no more spasms and no more tremors, because I was able to connect with and identify that was simply trauma energy trapped in my legs. I'm going to cry. Like, it needed to be lifted. I needed to be freed of it. And this woman, this is some of the work I did. Like, this woman freed me of that after 22 years. I can't put a price on that. It's priceless. So this is why energy work is so important to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Powerful.
Just.
Darren's got to get a juicer.
Yeah, I guess I pulled that comment the 5th time this week. I've heard that maybe I should try juicing. When I've heard of juicing, I was very like, wow, this sounds really great. So
It is wonderful.
It is good. And then Darren had asked about.
Yeah, meditation and visualization is still part of my journey. Yeah,
it should be for anyone, no matter what you're doing.
I'm leading meditation now too for other people. Yeah,
I do maybe like a 10 to 15 minute one in the morning for clarity, for that intention for the day, just to kind of, and then I do my bedtime 11 into sleep overnight.
Love it.
So it really does help. I wouldn't, when people sleep with the news on or how
it's going into your subconscious, like, no, thank you.
No,
because you're out of control at that point of what you're taking in.
So, but for me, meditation, visually inputting that information that into my consciousness, into my structure, in between the cells.
Absolutely.
Judith had a question. How does this work with employment?
How does what work with employment?
Oh, well, I guess we'll have to ask maybe later on. I don't know, or some clarification, or Judith, type it in or reach out to you in the DMs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because Judith said she was gonna connect with you.
Yeah,
so
happy to.
How can people connect with you, Jen?
Oh my gosh, my website, very simple, jenrussman.com. It's my name.com.
One N.
I'm Jen with one N. I claim that. Jen with one N.
I had to double check my promos because I had accidentally typed your name wrong with Darren way back when, and I'm like, I put 2 N's.
You did.
Never again.
I know.
Never
it
again.
Happened. It happened.
JenRussman.com.
I do appreciate that because I am a Jen with one N. Yeah, absolutely. I know. I see Jen with 2 N's and I don't identify with it. It's weird, right? It's like,
it is weird.
Who's Jen Russman?
Okay, so I did put it up there.
Yeah, jenrussman.com. And there's a contact there with my email that you just fill it out and I'll get an email from you and then we can connect from there. If you leave your phone number and information, I can reach out to you. Or I'm on LinkedIn, Jen Russman, Jenergy Vibes. Yeah.
Just like it's spelled in your name right there.
Yep.
Jenergy
Vibes. I'm on Facebook, Jen Russman. Just look for my picture right now.
You're on there all the time. You're so easy to get a hold of.
I know.
You're so relatable. You're so
easy.
Like, people love you. People follow you, and you're always posting pictures. I saw your snow angel. That's one of my most favorite pictures.
Oh my God, that was a video.
And the snow angel. Well, I just remember it was a video now that you mentioned
it. My inner child, my little Jen, has woken up. All the healing I've done, I'm like, from the trauma and the MS and like all of it. Like, I'm in my second childhood, and she was alive and kicking. And that day, she was like, "Let's go make a snow angel." And I was like, "Are you sure?" "Oh yeah."
I love it. Now that is so good, and so good for the inside, right? Like, listening to that little person inside, and nurturing them
and involving her. And that's part of the trauma healing work I do with people. Like,
ongoing, right?
Child.
Ongoing. It doesn't stop. It's not just for this amount of time and then everything's done. But this is ongoing work that you continue, techniques that you use forever and ever, you will continue to use and implement into your life.
I will say, DJ, that I have discovered, and I see it with my clients over and over again in the emotional release work I do, that you can be free from the trauma and the triggers and the PTSD oftentimes.
depression,
I'm living proof. Yeah. Oh yeah. The anxieties, the
suicidal.
depression. Yes. All of that. But the trigger, living triggered, right? We're told like, we're going to be like PTSD. Like I've had that. I know what that's like. And there's different types of it, but, there are many people I know that I work with, and it started with myself, that I the triggers, what used to be triggers aren't triggers anymore. People are like, I don't get it. Like what? Like I'm like, just enjoy it. Like, you don't have to understand it. You don't have to get it. Like enjoy it that you're trigger free now.
Wow. And
There's
it's
freedom.
hard to do that, right? It's hard to get when you get to a peaceful place because it's so, and
Mhm.
we're going to get into a whole nother episode here. So we're not going to do that.
Part
But
two.
yeah, but really, like, you kind of go back to what you're used to. And if you're finally getting rid of all that chaos and you find yourself in a place of peace and,
Mhm.
naturally you want to sabotage the good
Yeah.
work you've done and you
Yeah.
feel like I should be in this dark place.
Yeah.
So
And
don't
you
let
know what?
that fool you. That's limiting.
Yeah. And what's funny about that too is oftentimes when we experience those moments, that peace, that place of peace, oftentimes we translate it into boredom. Because we're like, especially like in my recovery journey, like, I was so
Yeah.
used to the chaos and the drama and
Yeah.
and it's like
From
now once,
childhood, something that you just,
yeah,
your adolescence in our 20s, we're like, woo!
yeah,
And we think like the faster the life,
yeah,
the more the chaos, ooh, the
yeah.
harder, the more I can endure. And
But
it's just
that's
a
all
bunch of
distractions. It's
fake,
just
yeah.
it's living distracted. We're distracting ourselves from the pain. We're
It's really
distracting
going on.
ourselves from the work that we really need to do to live free and live whole. And that's what I'm all about, is working with people who want to live free and live whole. And I'm here to lead you home to that place within yourself where you are free and you're whole. Jenny Gold.
Jenny's popped by. Oh, I didn't see
I think
her.
she's on my Facebook.
All right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not getting the pairs. I don't know why, but I'm
It's
sorry. I
okay.
can't pull up your comment. If I didn't pull up your comment, I'm sorry. Let's just give a goodbye. We're going to close this out. We're going to say, everybody, thank you for hanging
I
out.
know. Thank you guys. I can't wait to go look through all the songs too. I wasn't able
Oh,
to look at it all, but
yeah.
thank you for participating in the 90s music.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
love
we
it.
need a little try. We'll get our own little pseudo playlist for this episode. But thank
Hilarious.
you for everything. Great conversation, Jen. Your vibes are infectious and wonderful and positive, and I could see how anybody would want you as a coach in these times that we live in. So keep doing amazing work and empowering and strengthening and shining your light.
Thank you. Thank you, DJ.
Yes,
You're
yes,
beautiful. Thank you.
oh, I'm so glad we could share this hour and just really impact others together. So,
My
right,
heart
friends,
is
we're going to
beating.
say good night. We're going to say good night and end the
Good
stream.
night,
Good night.
everybody.